Chapter 11, Mishnah 4. This Mishnah speaks of a widow who sold her husband's property for either more or less than it was actually worth. If a widow whose Kesubos was worth 200 zuz sold property worth 100 zuz for 200 zuz, or she sold property worth 200 zuz for 100 zuz, in either case she has received her Kesubos in full and cannot take any more. In the first case, she received 200 zuz from the sale of the property. And in the second case, the heirs gave her property worth 200 zuz. The fact that she sold it for less is her fault. Another ruling. If her Kesubos was worth 100 zuz and she sold property worth 100 zuz and 1 dinar, i.e. 101 zuz, for 100 zuz, her sale is void. Since she is owed only 100 zuz, she has no right to sell property worth more than that, and the entire sale is invalid. Even if she says, I will return the dinar to the heirs, so that they will receive the full value of the property and not lose any money, her sale is void because she should not have sold it in the first place. Atana disagrees. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says her sale always stands as long as she returns the extra dinar to the heirs, unless there was sufficient property in the estate that had she sold only what she was supposed to sell, there would have been enough left over to be considered a field or garden. Thus, by selling the extra portion, she deprived the heirs of a field or garden. The sale is void in this case, even if she compensates them for the extra that she took. What is the legal definition of a field or garden? In the case of a field, an area of 9 kavs, and in the case of a garden, half a kav. But according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, the size of a garden is not half a kav, rather a quarter of a kav. A third law. If her Kesubos was worth 400 zuz and she sold property worth 100 zuz, one person, for 100 zuz, and a second property worth 100 zuz to a second person for 100 zuz, and a third property worth 100 zuz to a third person for 100 zuz, but to the last, i.e. fourth person, she sold property worth 100 zuz and 1 dinar, i.e. 101 zuz for 100 zuz, the law is that the sale to the last person is void, since at that point she had already collected 300 zuz and had the right to sell only property worth 100 zuz, but the sales to all the other people stand. Since each sale was made separately, only the sale that harms the heirs is void, but the other sales are not affected.